The scariest jump of Supercross in 2024 was this 45-degree checkup jump into the whoops. This was the first time during the three main events that Jett Lawrence jumped in here with, look at these ruts. Look at how crazy deep they are. You can tell that's why Jett is picking this outside, is because he's not having to land inside of something like this, because it's literally, you're at a 45 degree, these are at a 90, so he's having to essentially whip the motorcycle to get it to go back straight. And as he lands, he cases it briefly, and he's not able to triple, so he just rolls a little bit and then goes double. Kenny was struggling with this up until the last main event where he finally figured out a decent rhythm. Here, we'll show Jett Lawrence the next lap, how fast that he got it clean. Do you see that? Again, he's having to jump off at an angle and then land straight. And you can see that bike totally bottoming out. And from there, he's able to triple out, then triple. Here, we'll watch it again in real time. The precision of this rider, the capability of what he's able to do is freaking incredible. So if I fast forward to the last race of the night, Ken Roxon finally started figuring out where he was taking his line, where you can see he rolls the starter whoop where Jett Lawrence is landing in, and he triples and triples and triples. What was Jett doing simultaneously? Well, he was eyeballing jumping to the inside because the outside was starting to get super rough. So he jumps it just a little bit, and he's setting up, saying, hey, can I do this? And so here he wheel taps in, and he tries to blitz the whoops and finds out, hey, I need to jump through him. So here, we'll watch that again. Kenny figures it out. Jett is setting up for another big hit the following lap. Kenny is going to roll, then single, then triple, and Jett is just going to huck it and go triple from the rougher section, which is crazy. Look at this. Look at how gnarly this is. But he doesn't have to jump and get as whipped out to land because he's coming off the face relatively straight. So it's actually smarter for him. And this is what I believe enabled him to catch Kenny so freaking fast. And this next corner is pretty freaking cool. If you watch what Kenny was doing as well, is he's not sticking his foot up. Kenny's been known to try to keep his feet on the pegs. It's just the new riding style is to just lift your leg up. You can see he's not sticking it out, because if you stick it out, now you've got leverage. And once there's that leverage out there, if that foot hits something or the ankle hits something, you can twist that knee, break your ankle, rip your ligaments in the ankle and also the knee, which is the primary ACL tear that you get is from sticking your foot down in a corner. So these pros are just lifting their foot up. He is pushing it. He's pushing the motorcycle. He's racing ahead where Jett is just following. He's in a rhythm. Kenny has his heart rate pegged, and that foot ends up getting caught, but it's not as bad as if his foot was completely out. Just something that we should make note of here, and I want you guys to be aware. Look at that. Barely lifts up the foot. It's not stuck out. Jett has a good line of not following Kenny because he doesn't want to get stuck in the same rhythm as Kenny, but finding a different line. And from here, I'm going to put it into real time so we can watch this race between these two professionals. See, again, Kenny is just balls to the wall trying to do everything he can, and really he might be the only rider that is able to dethrone Jett from the win streak. I see a lot of potential in Kenny. Crazy to think that his prime is hitting and he's 29 years old, but he's really the only guy. Watch this as Kenny jumps into the whoops. That is such a sick line that Jett was not doing, but Jett is not following, and that's how you can tell that a rider is faster, is if they're not taking the same line. You know that they're confident, they are willing to lose time on the rider in front of them to make it up. Looking at that jump into the sand, as he's jumping off of this, the bike kicks sideways just a bit. You know, sometimes you find yourself having to slow down to go fast because it's not a matter what happens to you, it's a matter how you react to it. And I want you guys to check out Coach Rob's podcast on his YouTube channel. He's got a bunch of information on there that will help you become a better athlete, a better person, a better rider. Meanwhile, Jett is hauling butt around the outside. And so Kenny checks up to make sure that he can push Jett wide, and he's actually being really nice. Kenny's normally not an aggressive rider, but right here, he's fighting for it, which is something we don't normally see. These guys have been riding with each other for a long time, but there is some history there with what happened at the Super Motocross rounds where Jett gave it to him. This was a close call because here, if I back up to where Kenny looks over to block him, he could have taken it further by really pushing him wide. And if he would have been able to push him higher or closer, Jett wouldn't have had room to cut back underneath him to get on the inside and relatively make the pass happen. Because what would have happened is Jett would have then hit Kenny's wheel and he would have fallen down, and Kenny would have had another race win just a few weeks after Glendale. Look at how close that was. So all Kenny needed to do was just push the issue a little bit more. This is where I love seeing Kenny be more aggressive. However, I would like him to be just 10% more. Just take a lesson from Bam Bam and just a little bit more. Just rubbing his racing, and Jett wouldn't have been able to make this move. Because if we move forward, Jett is on the inside, and watch how much room Jett gives Kenny. Hardly any. Yes, the line is drifting to the outside, but Jett is knowingly blocking Kenny to try to make sure he can't get around him. Kenny has to check, lean over, and then hauls butt. Do you notice how these bikes just fall into those ruts? Look at Jett. He's landing at an angle, and that bike hooks the ruts from the front wheel grabbing and able to then step on. Those things are so gnarly to be able to do that. Just preloading and having the WFO in the throttle and the elbow down to make it happen. Before I get to the bonus, for more sick-ass analysis, make sure you wheel tap that subscribe button. Deegan. And yeah, it's simple, but did you catch what he was doing? Indy was a track where the dirt is outside of the stadium year-round, and with it being as humid and wet there, the dirt had a lot of moisture in it, so it wasn't easily packed. It was easily broken down, and that's what happened. That's why you saw Dirtworks have to do so much more effort for the track. Deegan here wheeling into the face of one of them just to keep the line and not get that front end stuck in those ruts. Lands, and he's just on the gas. A lot of these guys are wheeling into the face of these jumps. Very subtle, but it's something all these professionals are doing. So next time you're watching the race, make sure you're paying attention to when these riders are not completely downsizing the next jump. As always, make sure that you're keeping it WFO. Bra-da-da-da-da. Stay tuned for more.